to the Twitch chat, wherever it is on my phone. It's the worst thing about iPhones. So slow, so slow. My God.
Yeah, it looks good on the Twitch page.
Oh, yeah, mine didn't even reload for me. As you said that, I looked over to my dashboard and it's like offline. I'm like, what are you talking about? All right. What are you talking about? Yeah, my stupid app, it always takes way too long to load. But it says I'm there. All right.
Okay.
Oh, wait, let me change the search for Top Show. All right.
I'm trying to load it on your phone.
Yep, it's popping up right now. Ryzen, Horizon Zero Dawn. Every time I see HZD, I'm just thinking about like H1Z1.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking about.
I completely agree.
I'm not thinking about a girl shooting an arrow at robots that for some reason I don't know why they're there.
Dude, robot dinosaurs though.
I don't even have a PS4, and so it's one of those games right now that I'm considering getting a PS4 for. You know what I mean? Like picking one up just for the game.
Well, then you get to stream with Lou over here on the PS4. I think that's worth its weight in gold.
I can't pick up a third copy of Overwatch. I can't do it. I can't give Jeff Kaplan any more money. I give him enough in loot boxes. Horizon Zero Dawn. What was the last time? Oh, and the Nintendo Switch. Update.
Good old Nintendo.
Good old Nintendogs. All right.
Nintendogs.
So many of them are dead. Like, you don't think about it. Like, I swear to God, I had like 12 dogs, and I still have that cartridge sitting in my room.
Yeah, they probably turned into a Horizon Zero Dawn situation where they had to like fend for themselves and like.
Yeah. Imagine like shit just kicks off. It turns into like a District 9, like absolute crazy alien war. It's just like, what the hell's going on? You open up your game, you're like, what the hell? All right. The refresher page to see if the name updated. Should have.
Loading. Yep. We good.
All right, I'm gonna test how we sound. Test. You do it.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. How do we sound? Beautiful. Like butter in your ears.
Yeah, we sound fine. All right.
Beautiful.
We sound fine. All right. All right, that's fine. Mom, what do you want? My mom just texted me. She's like, "You hungry?" I'm like, Mom, I'm busy. I'm busy doing stuff. All right. All right. All right, yeah, that's fine. All right, let me open up some links and we will get this bad boy rolling. Let's see. I don't need that. Alright, I got them all open. So we are ready to go. Let me check.
Sounds good.
Let me just make sure I do have the video on demand set. That would be a better idea. All right. All right. All right, I just threw out a tweet from my Twitch, and we are good. All right.
Okay.
We're good. All right, so this is the first podcast of the IMO podcast, in my opinion. It's with Tuteinstreams. We'll just go by Steven. And we also have LJ Nation. We have Lou here. What's up?
Yes. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate you collabing with me on this. It's an honor to be on your show, sir.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We'll definitely we'll hop right into it. Let's see. So the biggest bombshell of the entire week, unfortunately, masking what Horizon Zero Dawn, I believe, has done, is AMD Ryzen.
Well,
So
with good merit. I mean.
yeah. I mean, it's essentially a company willing to put some of its money on the line and take a hit. Maybe even not. I don't know how much a processor costs to make. So if these things are costing $100 to make, then Intel's really screwing over their customer base. But if it costs a little bit more, then all you're seeing in this article here is that Ryzen's probably going to be taking a cut for most of its life cycle of Ryzen. But we'll see. We'll see. That'll all come out. So they're due out March 2nd. The highly anticipated chips promise to outperform high-end parts from Intel and undercut their prices by as much as 54%. So that's more than half. That's crazy. So for anyone who has been interested in getting a computer, building one, I'll say that I wouldn't say this is the time. Give it a few weeks, but it will be the time because of the price drop.
So I'm not. I wouldn't call myself tech savvy. I certainly love to learn about it, and I'm actually putting together my own PC with your help. So it seems like the two major players are AMD and Intel, right?
Yep. I mean, really the only.
Okay, so yeah, so they're the only two in the market now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it wrong of me to say that like Intel is kind of the more dominant one and AMD is kind of the more affordable one?
No, that's very correct. I mean,
why is that? Like, why is it just technology, or are they kind of going into like being the low cost leader? Or?
It's essentially, it starts out where I want to say last 8-9 years, Intel has been on top, and that was just because they would be releasing processors at the time because computers weren't that big at the time. So they'd be releasing processors so fast and so quick with these new upgrades, and they were reliable. IBM took them on. So if you have a company like that taking you on, you're essentially saying, okay, the people that just made computers, these crazy servers, are now using all of our chips. So it shows to a lot of people that know IBM as a company, oh, Intel.
If IBM uses it, I'm going to use it, yeah.
Well, and it's the same thing as it's the same thing as any market where you have one company who is known for their quality, they're known for their product, and that's Intel. So that's what you're paying for. You're paying for Intel. You're paying for what it stands by. And I mean, honestly, their warranties are really good. I'll give them that. Customer support for me has been good. I've never had a bad problem. I mean, I've only been doing this for 9 years, so I haven't had much problems with them. So that's pretty good. But the big thing that I'm seeing, and so I mean, hey, I'll admit it full right out of the gate. I'm an Intel guy. I've always had Intel. I've never ever built an AMD PC. Not on, it's not because it's a principal thing. It's just because people who have come to me to have PCs built or have talked to me about it have said, I'm willing to spend $1,500. What should I get? And their first thing is, if they don't know anything about PCs, is Intel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the first thing.
Brand recognition.
Yeah, and then when you hear a product that's cheaper, and at the time, a few days ago, before Ryzen was even out, we could say, a few days ago, they're not competitive at all, even in the power standpoint of how well they do. In AMD for a while, I think a big reason they dropped off was everything from AMD was a power hungry source. So their cards took extra pins, 3-pin connectors rather than 2 or 1. And I believe their boards took more than 1.
So if someone were to get this Ryzen chip, would they have to buy a whole new motherboard if they have a motherboard that's geared towards an Intel board?
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother cost that you have to consider as well.
Essentially, if you're going to get into Ryzen, I would do it only if your PC is dead. It's dying, it's dead, and it doesn't matter because you can throw the NVIDIA graphics card in there. That doesn't matter. But the one problem I would say is so many of the AMD people are so far behind because they haven't released a processor in forever, or a line of processors, excuse me, that people who have AMD systems previously, they're old. They're so old that these people have been begging for upgrades, and now they're getting them. And they're getting them for pretty cheap. So I'll scroll down right here. So it says, unlike Intel's massive January launch of more than 40 KB Lake chips, AMD is playing it slow. So we'll talk about the Ryzen 7 chips. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So AMD's Ryzen 7 1800X. It's a 95-watt part. Boasts 8 cores, 16 threads. It runs at 3.6 gigahertz. So essentially, if you're comparing it, you'd be comparing it to a 6900K, an Intel Core i7 6900K, the unlocked SKU. And so this chip is starting at $499, as I just highlighted. The chip that it's beating, the Intel Core i7 6900K, is a $1,000 part. So it's almost by half. And it's beating it by 9% in the Cinebench benchmarks, which honestly means absolute shit. It means nothing. All that really means is it's using the multi-core rendering to render an image, a 4K image. So that's what Cinebench does to test your PC. You're not testing the FPS of a game running on it. If someone's buying these crazy processors, unless they're using it for a server or for, I don't know what else you'd be using it for, but a lot of people need to see the game benchmarks, which, I mean, we're not going to see till March 2nd, excuse me, till everyone gets their hands on those. But the one thing that you might not understand is this 95 watts. So that's its total power draw from the system. I believe Intel's is at like 117. So it's a lower power draw, which is, once again, like I said, AMD was known for being power hungry. They needed the power for their system to run, and now it's just showing that they're more efficient and doing everything better. So down to the 1700X, 8-core, 16 threads, same as the one above it. It runs at 3.4, boosts to 3.8, using the multi-core Cinebench benchmark. 399 chip scored a 1,537, 4% faster than the 6900K. So we're just going lower on the processor end, and it's still beating out Intel's best processor right now.
So like when I've been doing some research on AMD and Intel, just when I'm a very research heavy guy when it comes to, like, you know, I'm building my own PC, and so I see that that AMD's got, they got quad core, they got 6-core, they got 8-core, but it seems like Intel only goes into the quad core. And when you hear like, oh, they got 8 cores, like in your head, you're like, that's got to be double the power. But then before it wasn't. So like, why has Intel not stepped into that 6 and 8 core? Is that just kind of a marketing
They have
thing,
stepped into the 6-core.
okay.
I don't believe the 8-core. Maybe in a Xenon chip. Let me check out.
But I mean, is that can you get a 6-core into your desktop, or is that more for like servers and stuff?
Let's see.
I don't even know how that works.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, yeah. This is good to look up for you. So we'll do the we'll do the version 4. No thanks. 2 gigahertz, 20 threads. So I mean, you can get some crazy processors, but essentially, so just because you have 8 cores and 16 threads rather than having 4 cores, 8 threads, a person would normally think, okay, it's going to be double, right? That's what you would think. It's going to be double. Only problem is that's not really how it works, and unfortunately, that's where they get people. So
yeah, so it's more of a marketing move.
Not really. I mean, it's essentially because it's a real thing. There's actually 8 physical cores and 16 threads in the CPU. So technically, they're not lying to you. Essentially, what it's trying to tell you is that while games today on PC will only be running 4 cores, they're only going to utilize 4 cores. And pretty much every game developer has said for the next about 5 to 7 years, it's going to be 4 cores, because until everyone has a CPU that is 6 cores, they cannot upgrade to that.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Yeah.
They're going to stay at 4 cores. So what does the other 4 cores and 8 threads do for you if you're buying Ryzen? Video streaming. So like we're doing right now. It's so what their big proposition, and let me see if I can bring up. Do they have the video on here? No, they don't. There is a video, and I will probably open up the YouTube link to it just to show you. But they have the Intel system on your right, and then you have your I believe your AMD Ryzen system on your left, and it's showing 2 guys streaming the same game at the same bit rate, same everything, same graphics card, except the only difference is the processors. And the Intel's one looks like crap. And a lot of people, of course, are going to say, oh, well, of course, they're going to make it look better for their presentation. I mean, yeah, it's going to look really good for their presentation. Of course, it's their own product. The thing that they're trying to point out is you now have 4 extra cores and 8 extra threads to be running all your other stuff. So, like, where I run all my games, when I'm streaming, I run it through my graphics card, the streaming video. So it all goes through my graphics card, not through my processor. So, essentially what they're trying to say is, because I don't have those 4 extra cores, 8 extra threads, and if I did, I could just stream directly from my chip without having to put any stress on my card. So it's essentially it's targeted at video producers, photo editors. It's also targeted at gamers that stream, YouTubers, and then also people who want to do multitasking. So if if I wanted to play a game, but then also have, you know, if I had a file rendering and then I opened up Overwatch just to play Overwatch while the file renders, it would run Overwatch a lot better.
Right.
And it would make the uh encoding of the video go by a lot faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so let's hop on to how Intel could respond. AMD believes that Intel's rested on its laurels, delivering a sense of minor improvement year in and year out. I mean, that's true. To credit, however, Intel has maintained operating profits even as it negotiates a gradual shift away from shrinking PC market by prioritizing profitable high-end PC processors. With Ryzen, AMD sees an opportunity to steal some of that high-margin share. Intel, however, has several opportunities to respond, including simply just lowering its prices. Intel's latest official processor price list remains unchanged since early January. So, essentially, what the options are for Intel, I would say, is start putting out a processor that's worth people's money, or drop them dramatically.
So what do you think? Where does the Pentiums fall in this type of? I mean, I know it's no comparison.
Well, the
i7s, but
Pentium, the one that
the hyper-threading.
you have on the way right now is, I wouldn't. It just has the Pentium name. It really is a lot more powerful than any Pentium that's been released because it has hyper-threading.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a hard question, like how Intel's going to respond, right? Because when you're dealing with a company that is so big as Intel is, just because your competitor comes out with something that is beating benchmarks and beating all of these different visuals doesn't necessarily mean that you all of a sudden have to just start pumping out a new processor just to compete, right? To me, it sounds like, and I'm not an expert in this field by any means of the imagination, but it seems like there's a lot of costs going into if Intel already has a big part of the market share. There's a lot of costs that go into switching over to AMD. I mean, you're talking a new motherboard and making sure that your RAM is compatible with your motherboard, and then like having to then buy the processor on top of it, and it just becomes like a whole ordeal just to switch brands. And so the barrier to entry for all of those customers is pretty high.
Yeah.
Where not to say that they're fighting a losing battle, but in order to change the game, right, you have to take all of those Intel users and bring them over to your own company. And by offering a processor that's half the price and performing almost double of what Intel's performance is, or not double, but beating it out, maybe that is the push for some people. I don't know. But I don't think that Intel necessarily has to respond with any like dramatic measures. Personally, I think that they could kind of keep doing what they're doing, and then maybe the next line just kind of wipe the floor with AMD. It'll be interesting to see how they respond, but sometimes not, like no response at all is the best response, if that makes sense. Like by them sticking to their tried and true and saying, we're confident in our products. We know that our products are going to last the longevity of the life cycle that you need our products to perform at, then sometimes that might be the right move.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say to that would be you have, and you're very correct on the point where someone like me who I just built my Intel system, it would be stupid to drop $1,000 Intel system and then have to go and pretty much redo an entire computer. Other than keeping what, my SSD, my RAM, my hard drive, my cooler. I can keep my cooler, my CPU cooler. That's nice. And card. So I'd just be needing a motherboard and RAM. Motherboard and CPU.
Right.
So really, I technically wouldn't even need. I'd need 2 parts.
Yeah.
And I have a 6600K that's never been overclocked. So I mean that's just essentially saying it can sell for a lot more. So the only problem with, I think, what you were saying with that they maybe shouldn't respond so quick would be there's so many AMD users and people that love AMD that haven't had a good system in years. So now that they can finally get this system, and it's half the price of what some dude paid for his Intel system, and it's better than that Intel system, it's gonna that just shakes the boat a ton, because essentially I'm thinking, what Intel's thinking in their own mind is this: oh shit, okay, we don't even have a commercially ready 8-core processor available to just turn out tomorrow. And everyone who's been considering buying a PC, and it's been a huge market because the upturn is supposed to be about 15% this year. 15% more people are supposed to be hopping on. So if you take 15% of all console players, hop them onto PC, that's a lot of money. And if they're all going to go to AMD because it's half price, you're going to be losing a ton of people. And then also, that's where people get their brand awareness from. So if you were to buy, say if we bought you a Ryzen system, and you got an all Ryzen system, you end up loving the thing. 7 years later, you've been upgrading it, you'd keep going with AMD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all, with things like this, I think a lot of consumers are brand heavy.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I'm an Intel guy, and I'm only going to be an Intel guy forever, you know? But I think that there's also some people that kind of just get excited with new tech, like you, right? So like you're saying, oh my God, this thing is.
I'm just excited because it's making Intel sweat for the first time in 9 years. You know what I mean?
And you know what? In terms of business, right? The competition, the winner when there's competition is the consumer, right? So whenever there's competition, I think Intel fans should be even happy about this in some regard, right? Because that means that Intel's going to have to come out with something that's even better. I mean, so you're going to say to yourself,
that's what Intel fanboys, they're bitching about Ryzen coming out being like, oh, it's going to suck. It's like, guys, you want it to blow Intel out of the water. You want Intel to shake, and you want Intel to come out going, here's a processor for $100 that has 8 cores. You know what I mean? And then people are just going to jump on the Intel bandwagon again, and it's just going to be the cycle. All right, so we'll end this off just with what PC World wanted to say about it. The early verdict: get ready to duck Intel. Until Ryzen chips become available for benchmarking, we won't know for sure how well Ryzen will compete. Just like I said earlier, we won't know until it's really in the hands of actual people in houses, not in a controlled environment. All right, so it says Nathan Brookwood, an analyst with Insight64, said Ryzen is clearly the most competitive chip they've fetched and they fielded in a decade. A statement that more Insights Moorhead, an AMD veteran, echoed. Gartner analyst Martin Reynolds noted that AMD has extended the single-core performance that Intel itself offers over 8 cores, with high memory bandwidth to boot. AMD Sue had a simpler take. The best starts now. So they're pretty confident, and AMD's never been confident. So I think that's I think that's saying something. You know, if a company who has been very quiet in the last decade is now coming out and saying it starts now, I think
Yeah.
we're in for a treat. Um, and it's definitely going to shake up. It's going to shake everything up. You know, I want to see real builds online of people building PCs for like, you know, $250. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I'm sure the YouTube community is going to take it and run with it, and we'll see what kind of traction it gets. I mean, it's exciting to see new technology coming out, pushing the limits of what's already out there. And whenever you can make such a dramatic price cut over your competition, it's
yeah,
going to raise eyebrows and it's going to get people talking about it. And at the very minimum, it starts the conversation. And to me, that's the best thing you can do in terms of your business plan, is just getting people to talk about it, and then the business will fall in from there.
yeah. I mean that's exactly, and I think AMD is taking that extra. I think they took an extra one or two leaps and said, screw it, we're not gonna do the iteration like Intel just did because people are freaking out about it. And I think they took those three extra steps and just said, we're just gonna let it off here, so Intel has to keep pushing forward. You know, so they're not gonna put out one above
Yeah.
what they just put out. All right, so. Horizon Zero Dawn for the PS4 has an 88 Metascore from 82 critics, and as you can see here, that's 79 positive reviews, 3 mixed, 0 negative scores for Horizon
Yeah.
Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
82 critics. Um, I'll tell you right now, let's read some of these hundreds just to see what people are freaking out about. An absolutely fantastic game. It is very polished and comes with a compelling story, relatable characters, and an absolutely fascinating setting. Top-notch gameplay. On top of that, its visuals make you wonder if Santa secretly sneaked into your room to replace your PS. Oh my god, I can't believe this dude actually put this in a quote. Okay, let me read that from the start. On top of that, its visuals will make you wonder if Santa secretly sneaked into your room to replace your PS4 with a gaming PC while you were asleep. It simply looks that good.
Huh.
All right, Dual Shockers, please take that back. Because people have already said it's not running as well as it should be on the PS4 Pro. So. But I mean, you're more of a PS4 guy, so what is your take on this? Because my take as an Xbox guy is this is going to be a long-running franchise for PS4, for PlayStation, excuse me, and I have a very good feeling that it will continue to the next iteration of consoles, whether that be an iteration of consoles that's just going to be upgraded, or if they just come out with the PS5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it will extend a life cycle. That's my guess. And honestly, that I feel is a little far fetched, but I feel like it's very doable at the same time. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, it's always interesting because I tend to be very skeptical whenever I read anything online or anything that has to do with media in general. I just think that you should get multiple sides to it, when regardless of what people are saying. And so when I look at these positive reviews, they are just like unbelievably positive, like over the top, and like when I think of giving a game 100, I'm thinking like this is literally your favorite game of all time. You're giving it a
Yeah, that
100.
was my thing.
Um,
Was it, I get the whole like if you give it a 10 out of 10. But I feel like if you're rating it off of 100 score, 100, I don't know.
well, I mean that's like when IGN gave Uncharted 2, or yeah, when they gave yeah, the second Uncharted, when they gave it a 10 out of 10 so early on in the year,
Yeah,
they were kind of kicking themselves because then the rest of the games that they reviewed had to stack up to Uncharted. And if it if it had surpassed Uncharted standards, then all of a sudden they were just giving 10s all over the place.
Yeah.
But the way that I look at it is I'm looking at the mixed reviews, and there's some things that are worrying me. There's some
Yeah,
people
let
that are
me
saying that
hop down into that. Oh, we got one from Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling's up here. That'll be a good one to read. Because Jim Sterling actually is a no bullshit dude. So
okay, yeah, that'll be good to read then.
yeah,
Saying
that dude's had so many lawsuits against him in this industry. He really doesn't care what he says. All right, yeah, I'm down here with you on the mixed reviews. 70, 70, and 50. Okay, and these are not well-known publications. Okay. I mean, the 70s are barely in the mixed category, so. All right, well,
I mean, with the 50, it says the story I struggled to care about, complete with massive exploratory dumps, or no, expository dumps, a bland protagonist, and overly repetitive and constraining missions that worked against the open world sensibilities. I'm hoping that it's not a, the happy games type mentality of like, we're going to mass market our game, and then when it comes out, we're going to kind of stop supporting it. I'm very excited about Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm also not the type of person that buys the games on launch. I kind of wait to see what others are talking about, because you never really know what happens behind closed doors if people are getting copies to write positive reviews. I know it sounds negative, but you just never know.
You don't even think if they're getting paid, more or less. You really have to think reviewers are given a game copy. They're not paying for the game. So when you get a review from anybody who's a reviewer, you're getting a review that they never paid for the game. So when you have someone who makes a review on Steam who's played 100 hours of it and they paid the $60 for it, and if they say the game's bad, the game's bad. But when you have reviewers who, I mean, they're just getting the game and it's another game to them. I mean, yeah, they're definitely looking at it subjectively. I just don't think they're looking at it as money anymore. Most of them.
I really hope it's not a No Man's Sky type thing. That's a fear that I have with this. But on the other hand, I don't want it to sound like I'm not excited about it, because I'm super excited about it. I mean, when you think about the concept, an open world RPG with robot dinosaurs, yes, everything, yes. And the fact that the same writer who wrote the story for Fallout New Vegas is also his name's John Gonzalez, and he wrote the story and dialogue for Fallout.
That was a big pickup. I remember when Horizon Zero Dawn was first being mentioned, that he was picked up for the script, and he was picked up for the main story lead. And I was like, oh, okay, so they know who they're picking up. They're picking up the right people for the job, at least.
And they're marketing this really well. I've been seeing YouTube commercials with Horizon Zero Dawn being, like the 30-second commercials, or even like the 5-second skippable commercials.
Yeah.
And so they're really doing a good job marketing the game. It could be a console pusher, and people could be buying consoles for Horizon Zero Dawn. I can definitely see that happening. I just hope that it lives up to the hype, because we don't necessarily know yet, because like regular people like you and me haven't been able to play it. So
well, that's the thing. I don't think reviewers have even gotten 40 hours in it. So it's really gonna be another week. You know what I mean? Till people start really making their decisions. But the US Gamer Review, the one thing that I'm reading that it makes sense because from what I've heard, is overly repetitive. And so, I mean, honestly, games are going to be overly repetitive mechanics. That's what games are. That's why we love games. Other than that, I heard that I believe that there were 26 different robots that are sprawled across this universe. 26 different types. That's not a lot. Um, Honestly, if you compare it to Destiny and stuff, I mean, you would probably think that maybe Destiny would have about the same amount of characters. So that would be, killable characters in the world on Earth and stuff like that. But when I heard 26, I don't know. Something just didn't tick with me. I kind of felt myself hearing people talking about overly repetitive stuff when I heard 26.
Yeah, I mean that's something that you might run into when you just have a game that's on such a massive scale that you hype it up to be.
But
You know,
those 26 characters that I then went on to read are very unique, very different, and the thing I love about it, the art design, and we'll go over this quick so we can hop into the Nintendo Switch real quick. But I saw that they're very different. The enemies you're facing, they have similar appearances and similar features for the game features, of course, where you're going to be shooting at, but they all definitely have a different feel to them. So even though they do have 26 enemies, those 26 enemies are diverse enough. So that's
great.
where I think they're reaching. And I think just with the 70 reviews is kind of just, I'm reading hype, it hasn't managed to fully deliver. Confirmed by Eschler to enhance the PS4 Pro experience. Didn't really notice an increased frame rate or up or down their texture. Like 1080p. Yeah. All right. So the dude. All right. Here's a perfect review, Lou. Okay. The guy owns a PS4 Pro and didn't notice anything on his 1080p television because you don't have a UHD television, asshole. That's why you gave it a 70. It probably would blow your ass away if you had a UHD TV. That's what I hate. I just hate people. Well, I just read it. I read two sentences of his article, and I'm realizing, he doesn't even have the right components to review it.
Sure.
So, yeah,
for all intents and purposes,
I take that review out.
Sure.
But,
and for all intents and purposes, I know that people have a lot of negative things to say about this company, but I tend to like the IGN reviewers. I tend to like just the way that their review is written. I like their writing style, and so when they give it a 93, it makes me pretty excited about the company or about the game, and so I am really looking forward to it. I'm gonna pick it up, but I do tend to wait until the games come out and get
some gameplay.
Get a full review from a lot of different people.
Well, and
a lot
also,
of different eyes, a lot of different opinions.
Talk to or watch a gameplay of someone who's been playing 40 hours of it, if it has become repetitive and boring and the story isn't as that good as he thought it was going to be 40 hours in, he'll tell you. So, right here, we'll just end it off with this. This is the Jimquisition, so this is Jim Sterling. This is his review. Horizon Zero Dawn is just brilliant. I speak as a critic who has played more open sandbox games than any one human should and has grown so weary of them. I should have gotten sick of this thing in an hour, but I've been glued to it for days and days, and I don't want it to end. And I love existing in this world, a world of desperate survival but growing culture and a sense of hope. A world of giant metal animals that promise some breathtaking fights. That's a pretty good review from Jim Sterling.
That is.
Jim Sterling he'll ruin your company with a review. That's how good he is. And all this is telling me is that he definitely got the time with it. And, because Jim Sterling's very weird. He has not put out his Final Fantasy review yet. He's not done with it.
Wow.
The game has been out for months.
That's incredible.
You know why? Because he says, give me 1,000 hours in it, and then I'll give you my review on it, because it's a game that's supposed to be reviewed every single aspect of it, so.
Right.
So he's very thorough. So clearly knowing that he's done a review means that he's
Yeah, I
gotten
mean,
some time.
I'm super pumped for it. I can't wait for it to come out and I can get my hands on it. I just tend to be skeptical, just in anything in general when it comes to critics or reviewers. But I'm really looking forward to it, and with that review from someone who is that unbiased, it sounds pretty good to me.
Yep. All right. All right. So we'll move on to Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch talk. Just quickly.
Man, do I love me some Nintendo.
So we were going to do at the end of the show our in conclusion for each of us. You know what? We'll hold that off for the next show because it looks. What do you got? An extra 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll hold that off for the second show. We'll keep this just a pilot, just us talking, having fun. So we'll throw our in conclusion for next time, and also it'll give you some time to think about something. I already got a topic in mind. But all right, so we'll talk about the Switch, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so the Nintendo Switch, it's only weeks away. Many are excited to see a grand switch for the company. Coming off the Wii U and the 3DS, it's a console that is a celebration of everything Nintendo has accomplished over the years, but hardware is nothing without the software. The Switch will be launching with a number of games, and I'll be detailing my impressions of every game and all that. So, all right, so he's going to be going over everything, so it looks like we got a little gif of Legend of Zelda, pretty much the game for this.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, no doubt about it. People will buy the console for that.
Yep.
But it is going to be out on the Wii U, so it's kind of a Twilight Princess type of thing where it came out on the Wii, but it was also on the GameCube. I don't know how I feel about that move. I mean, I enjoy that move because I get to play it on my Wii U.
I mean, it just gives anyone who has the Wii U and possibly maybe couldn't get their hands on a Switch in time for March 3rd, if they couldn't get their hands on a pre-order or anything, and if they already have the Wii U, it's like, fuck it, I'll play it. I think it's a good move. A lot of people are just calling it a money grab move, but it's like, hey, if they didn't make it for Wii U, so many people would be pissed about it, saying I only have a Wii U. So,
Right.
I mean, there's really not much we can say more on Legend of Zelda. I mean, I just want to wait till everything comes out with that because, I mean, it's a huge map. It looks awesome, and it definitely looks like they've brought in a new style of gameplay, but kept to its roots.
And they're gonna introduce voice acting for the first time. Well, don't include the CGI games. Don't like they're
Philips CDI, the best games of all time.
Yeah, the CDI games.
Philips CDI, the worst
no,
system.
Those don't even exist. Nintendo doesn't even.
What do you mean they don't exist? I got 8 copies. I've actually been looking for a copy.
They're over $100 each. I think.
Yeah, they're expensive. They're expensive.
But Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge them on the Zelda timeline.
No, I mean, all I can say is Nintendo makes the right moves at the right time. Okay, we'll go with that. I think they know this is for the best at the right moment that they should do a voice actor for him. So I think it's definitely a good step for the series. What do you think?
I think that people are either going to love it or they're going to rip it to shreds. Yeah. And I'm interested to see. It's kind of like your view of Intel is kind of my view of Nintendo, I suppose. Where I think that Nintendo, they methodically think out their decisions, and anything that has the Nintendo stamp is going to tend to be good. And
the Nintendo seal of approval
is their flagship. They absolutely cannot afford to drop the ball on The Legend of Zelda. And so I think that the voice acting is going to be good, and I think it's going to be more extensive than people think. And it'll be interesting to see because, and look, they did it with Mario. They'll be able to do it with Link. I think it'll be I think it'll be fine. What
Yeah.
I'm really interested in is this idea of taking such a large game on the go. And
Yeah, and only hearing it's pretty much averaging out around what 3 hour playtime. I mean,
yeah,
which honestly, I'll tell you right now, that's my laptop playing Civ off battery. So, what you know what I mean? It's like, what are people
yeah.
complaining about? That's a good time. If they said it was an hour, no way. Three
Well,
hours
and
though.
I think that you'll be able to be by an outlet somewhere,
Yeah,
and be able to charge the device. But
and if you're not, go to Best Buy, pick up two, 10,000 milliamp battery packs and two cheap, USB-C ports, charging cables off of Amazon. And those, I think what's the battery? I think it's less than 10,000 milliamps. So you'd be like set.
I sorry,
Yep.
um, I I don't know. I bought into the Wii U concept of like, oh, if someone else is using the TV, I could go into my room and play with the Wii U. And I can honestly say I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
So I think that concept, I wish they would put that time and energy into something else. And maybe I am not the target market
Yep.
for the Switch. Maybe their market research said that people want to take this thing and they want to leave the house with it and bring it over to a friend's house and play games there.
Yep.
I personally just don't see the feasibility with that. I think people are gearing more towards let's play online and stay within the comfort of our own home.
Yeah.
But that being said, this could be a huge hit, and it seems like the games that are with the two drivers for me are going to be The Legend of Zelda, and then it's not on this list, but the new Splatoon that's supposed to be coming out.
Yep.
Because I loved me some Splatoon on the Wii U. I've said this to close friends, and I'll say it here: if Nintendo does not get the marketing down for the Switch, it will fail, just like the Wii U, in my opinion, because exactly what we're doing right now. We're live streaming, talking about Nintendo, and people need to be able to live stream the Nintendo games. And Nintendo's getting better with that, but they have this like program now where you have to give them a cut of the revenue and everything,
But
which is a start.
it's a start, but it's something that I get where they're coming from, in the sense of it's it just baffles me a little bit sometimes. But whenever I hear, all right, so say if we're gonna be, PewDiePie, or well, PewDiePie doesn't work. He just got dropped by his network. Who's the YouTuber with the network?
Well, yeah,
like Killer Keemstar or whatever. So he has a network. So YouTube takes his money, his network takes his money, then Nintendo takes the money, and then he gets his money. Okay, so it's another person taking another cut of money. So if you're getting so you get 50% no matter what from YouTube, and then if you go to like a partner, they're gonna give you 70% of the 50%. And imagine then if you're a Nintendo only streamer or YouTuber, then Nintendo goes, "Hey, that money you just made, cut." So you're cutting it down even more. And big channels, huge channels that'll get 1 million views on a video like that, they'll be all fine. They'll be making millions. They'll be living the life. People who don't have 1 million view video average, nope. You're not going to make money. You're going to be ending up giving it to Nintendo, unfortunately. A lot of people did the math on it.
Yeah, and what I can say is that it is a start, and I think that getting your marketing out on platforms like YouTube, and having these big streamers talk about your games is just, not only is it free advertising, but it is just exponential for your growth as a company. I think the Switch is going to do well, and the reason I think it's going to do well is because I think they got punched in the mouth a little bit with the Wii U.
Yep.
They went from the Wii and then the 3DS, which was literally like printing money for them at that point in time.
Agreed.
And
Printing. I mean, I bought a friggin'. I have the limited edition Year of Luigi one, so I mean,
yeah,
that printed money, they friggin' ripped it right out of my wallet. Second I saw that, but it
and
and
I
like
just don't
you,
think they could fall.
yep,
I don't think they can afford to fall
yeah.
on their face
Well,
with the Switch.
and like you're saying with that, they can't afford to fall. And I think what you're trying to say as well with the marketing aspect, and I'll hop on this opinion real quick, but I think you're also trying to say not just the marketing of getting it out there and getting people to understand what it is. It's also you need people to understand what they're dealing with, okay? Because when the Wii U came out, they thought it was just an add-on to the Wii. And then they got the Wii U and went, wait, what? And they're really confused, and then this, that, left, right. No one knew what it was. Nintendo walked out on their press event for this and said, this is a new console. So I think they have an idea with that marketing strategy. I just think, and you are very correct, the only time I ever see someone bringing this out of the house is if you happen to go over a buddy's house and he has one as well. And that's where it's going to be awesome. If this thing hits it off like the Wii, I think people will be bringing these things over to other people's houses, because why not be able to sit in front of your buddy and you can play a game that would be split screen on two separate screens. So he can't be screen cheating anymore. So I think that it will draw in a very new crowd of people. And agreeing with what you say, the marketing, if it's not there, I just don't think, if I buy one and none of my friends have one, I'm not bringing it anywhere. The whole function's gone of the system. So
yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this. I mean, Reggie Fils-Aimé went on like the late night shows with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
And was talking about the Switch. And
well, you know who's watching
Facebook
that?
videos.
You know who's watching all of that? Parents with kids who are going to be ready to buy the next console. And
I think they learned from their mistake. And I'll tell you one last thing, last closing thought here. I am a little weary that the Virtual Console is going to be absent on launch. I think that is that's a mishap. But if they do come out with the GameCube Virtual Console and then put Mother 3 on there, I'm buying a Switch, because Earthbound is Mother 2, and Earthbound is my favorite game of all time.
I have a copy. I have a copy on NES.
Oh, that's fantastic. There have been ports of Mother 3, like SNES. Translated ports, but if they have an official, it's on SNES.
Yeah, SNES.
If they have official translated,
official translated, download, exactly.
I mean, I am buying a Switch just for Mother 3, and then tack on Legend of Zelda, tack on Splatoon, tack on GameCube games. Like if I could start playing Mario Sunshine again on the Virtual Console, this thing is going to be fantastic.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh my god! And I'm getting so excited right now just for like GameCube Virtual Console.
Exactly.
Mother 3. It will be fantastic if they hit it off like that.
But like I just said, when I said Mario Double Dash, and you went, that's exactly what they want. They want you to bring this over to your friend's house because you have Mario Double Dash, and you're going to go relive the nostalgia days, and you're going to play right next to it.
I will get on a plane, and we will play Mario Kart Double Dash.
I'll get on a plane just like the advertisement tells me to. I'm listening, Reggie.
On the plane.
I can only play my Switch on the plane, on my couch, and that is it. And on a bus. All right, so wow, we actually
an overpass.
We just hit an hour.
Beautiful.
All right. So that pretty much looks like that will wrap it up. So we just went over Ryzen, the new processor lineup from AMD, Horizon Zero Dawn's crazy good reviews, and their one really shitty mixed review that I believe guy doesn't even have all the technology to run it. And then we also have the Nintendo Switch, which is coming out in What is that? Let's see, 8 days.
Yeah.
8 days. So I believe if we continue and if we want to do this on Tuesday, that's when we'll have our in conclusion segment for the end next time.
Yep.
That'll be a good way to end next show. All
Wonderful.
right. So, you want to throw out your Twitter and everything?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Lou and my partner is Jay. But with the podcast here, it'll just be me on here. But I hope everyone enjoyed it, and thank you again, Stephen, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be something that'll blossom, that we can move forward with. But you can find us on Twitter at Nation of LJ, and you can find us on YouTube at LJ Nation. And from there, we do live streams as well as now the podcast. And then I have a little segment called Chats with Lou that I will be doing once I finally get my new processor in. But yeah, you can find us on all those social media channels, and we're very active, and we love reaching out to the community and making everyone better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so let me think. I think I gotta go with I like Chats with Lou. I really like that.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
it's catchy. It's and it they're not these crazy, like I said, they're not crazy long streams like we were talking before. You know, it's literally the title fits perfectly. Chats with Lou. 30, 45 minutes having some fun. So yeah,
Thank you.
guys,
I
definitely go
appreciate
check him out. Go check both of them out. Excuse me. So this episode will also be on your YouTube as well. So I mean, of course, they know you there. But I am Tutein at Tuteinstreams, Tutein. So you can find me there on YouTube, which is just Tutein. All I do is play Overwatch.
Well, my subscribers know you very well. They should at least, because you have been an immense help from when we had like 10 followers on Twitter, and we've been blossoming, thankfully, ever since. And so I owe a lot of thanks to you.
That confused me because one day I woke up and you had like 25, 30, 40 subscribers. Well, even subscribers too. But then your followers, it was like, next day I'm looking, it's like 1,100 followers. I'm like, what? I'm like, how did you already pass me?
We've been very thankful, and just trying to put out genuine content that people can enjoy. So hopefully it continues to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, comparing my content to yours, I mean, I just do my streams on my Twitch. I sometimes stream on YouTube if I can, or if something kind of fits in that 1 hour mark like you guys do, that's a really good time frame. But other than that, I really just do my Overwatch highlights from streams, and then I also do some overdubbing and remixing of some of my highlights and stuff. So